For this video, we're going to discuss parameters and how to access and change them through the API. Now, this won't be a complete in-depth discussion on parametric modeling, but we're going to give a quick overview of it and then how to do it through the API. So here in regular Fusion 360, under the Modify tab down to change parameters, we can access model parameters. Now notice there's two different categories, user parameters and model parameters. User are ones that I can define myself. Model ones that are kind of automatically created through Fusion 360 whenever I put in dimensions into a sketch or an extrude or anything like that. So notice that through parametric model and through these parameters, things are set to these expressions, and if I change this, it's going to update the model. So I could change that. Notice that the number of teeth changed in there. Similarly, if I came in for like this shaft diameter and changed this, it would update as well. So parametric modeling is really useful, and we're going to learn how to change these through the code. So first of all, let's go on and look at the object model online. So here I've just zoomed in a little bit to the object model. So we'll notice here that we have a couple different types of parameters. Once again, we have the model parameters and the user parameters, but there's actually a way that we can just access all of the parameters, and that's through this here, the parameter list. The parameter list will contain all of the model parameters and the user parameters. So we're going to go ahead and learn about the parameter list and what we can do once we access a parameter. But first, we just need to notice where this is located in the object model so that we can access it later. Now, if we're down into a feature or something, we need to be able to grab the component and then go up even above the component and get into the parent design. Once we're in the parent design, we can come over here and access the parameter list, and we'll show you that later in the code. But let's go ahead and go into the parameter list in our help documentation. So if we come over here into parameter list, once we get the parameter list, we can start accessing the parameters that are inside this collection. You could also add new ones or find certain parameters, but we're going to actually access a parameter by its name. So we're going to get the parameter list and then do .item by name, and we can search for a certain parameter by using its name here, and then once we find it, it's going to return us a parameter. So the parameter here, once we have the parameter object, there's a lot of things that we could query about it. We could ask if it's deletable or if it's valid, but we can also change certain things. We could change its units, its value, we could even change its name. For us, we're going to be changing its expression. So the expression gets and sets the different values for this parameter. So let's go ahead and look at what this would look like in the code. So here in my code, this first section is just importing a part. Once we have the part, I'm going to access the parameter list. Now remember, I have an occurrence, and I'm going to go above that into a component. So this is going to be similar to like the root component. But we need to go above that, so we go above the component into the parent design, and then we access all parameters. It's just by .all parameters. That's going to return all of the parameters for this design, for this part. So once I have that, I need to search for certain parameters, and I'm going to do that, in this case, just by their names, since I already know their name. So I'm going to do parameters.item by name, and I'm going to grab two of the already existing parameters, one that's called teeth num and one that's called shaft diameter. I've renamed them as variables in my code to teeth num param and shaft diam param, and then I'm going to change these. So I can just do teeth num param.expression, and then I can change it. So I'm going to change both of these expressions to two variables that I defined up here. So I'm going to change the number of teeth to 18, and I'm going to change the shaft diameter to 0.5, and then I need to make sure that my units are right. And since it's a string and an expression, I can just do plus centimeters there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to delete this part, and we're going to run it from scratch. It's going to import our part, which we learned about in the previous video, and then it's going to change the parameters. So we'll run this, and notice that as it's brought in, and then it will get the parameters changed. So that's all we have for parameters. There's a lot to learn about parametric modeling, but this video is just going to discuss how to do it through the API. But it's something that we suggest you learn more about. Thanks.